This is Trigger Point, episode 18. My name's Serena, and sitting across from me is my co-host Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hi, everyone.
So we finally finished a Korean Odyssey, or at least I finished Korean Odyssey.
I finished it too.
No, well, I finished it earlier, and then you crammed.
Yes. Yes, I did.
This is a TV show that was airing on Netflix, and originally we wanted to do this while the show was still airing.
Yeah.
By now it's completely finished. It's all done. All 20 episodes are done.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the... Well, it's been a very long time since I watched a TV show as it was airing, ongoing. Like it's the first show I've watched in a long time that I didn't binge.
Yeah.
And so for the last 10 weeks, I've been slowly waiting,
pining
for our next episode. And now, like every Saturday, I wouldn't wake up and think, "Oh, I've got new episodes to watch." You build up a kind of like a habit, right? And then you're like, "Oh, okay."
There's no more new episodes.
There's no new episodes. Oh, okay.
Okay. But before we actually get into the show, let's do a recap of what we've done so far for this past month.
Okay. Starting chronologically backwards, I finally showed Peter the video on the ASMR cheesecake making video.
Oh, yeah. we watched it literally just then.
Yes.
God, it was painful.
It was painful. But we did notice that it was less painful when you're actually wearing headphones.
Yeah.
It's more painful when you're trying to listen to the sounds out of your iPhone speakers.
Oh God, that was bad. Like on the like with headphones on, it's
annoying
and tingly, and like I feel like I'm being tickled all over the place. But it
wasn't painful.
It was bearable.
Yeah.
But listening to it on the iPhone was like, wow, that's
hurts.
bad.
It really hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did we do? What have you been doing this past month, Serena? Anything of interest?
I'm trying to think, and my mind's blanking. Why didn't you go first?
Why don't I? Well, actually, I haven't done much, to be honest. Well, I finally received my certificate. So,
yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, I received it this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I received it this morning.
Well, do you see? Okay, I walk into Peter's apartment, and like for the first time in a long time, his table is like cleared of everything. Well, two-thirds of his table was completely cleared, except for this one massive piece of paper smack bang in the middle of it, and it was like his cert. And I'm like, is Peter trying to tell me something? Like, is he like, look, I graduated. Look, I have more time now. I could do an episode every week.
Oh, no. Keep on dreaming, Serena. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want to edit this every week either.
I know, right? It's going to be more work for you.
I'm assuming if we talk every week, we'll only go for half an hour.
Really? Really, Serena?
We might get sick and tired of talking to each other.
We've been doing this for a bit more than a year now.
Yeah,
Still haven't happened yet.
Yeah, but we only see each other once a month. Maybe twice when we play a board game.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Like since we last recorded, we played. What was it? The fifth?
Fifth scenario of Time Stories.
And it sucked.
Oh, God, it sucked.
It was so bad. It was so boring.
It was so disappointing. Like God, words cannot describe how disappointed we were when we finished it.
Yeah.
If any of you remember when we first played Time Stories and we talked about it, we were so into it.
Because once you finish it, everyone has this burst of like,
I did it! Yes! I figured it out. Like, you get so much reward. You
adrenaline.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
you're
right?
like, oh, wow, we managed it. Oh, we survived it.
Yeah.
This one was like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
Well, we finished the scenario and we were like, oh, is that it?
All?
Oh, I thought there would be...
There was no accomplishment.
No.
It just felt like we lucked our way through. Like, it's just we tripped our way through the game. That was it. There was nothing.
Oh, no, not even that. We brute forced our way through the game.
Yeah.
Like, normally with all the other scenarios in Time Stories, like all the previous 4 scenarios, all had some tricks
puzzle
or
something that we had to solve.
Yeah, like you can't brute force your way to an extent. Like
you can't just guess your way through.
Yeah, like you guess some of it, but you need a lot of clues and you need to figure out things in order for you to have an educated guess, right?
Yep.
This one you didn't need to. You
If,
could.
if anything, if you tried solving the problem that they originally gave you, it wastes so much time.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with it.
I know, right?
You're trying to solve like a murder, you think, and then you realize it's kind of like a red herring.
Yeah.
A red herring.
Like there was
It's got
completely
nothing.
no reason why you needed to know it.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was a waste of time.
I know, right? On the other hand, apparently the next scenario is a lot better.
Well, I'm assuming anyone who played this previous one would think anything else is better afterwards. Like there's just this comparison.
I feel like I want to, because there's actually, I went online a few weeks ago after we finished playing it to look at some of the fan made ones.
Yeah.
And a lot of them seems to be very highly rated. So I'm interested in. I've downloaded 2 of them. And I'll probably print them out when I have time.
I also bought a new board game. Fog of Love.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's a 2-player game. It's essentially a game that you buy with your partner. Like it's a couple's dating night game kind of thing. It's essentially a reenactment of a couple being together, like a relationship. It's a 2-player game. One of you will be like, and I really like how this game is not. It's not gender specific. You can have 2 guys or 2 girls, like the characters that you play. It could be anything. They don't specify it has to be a guy or a girl. No, I like that, right? And also they have a pink card and a blue card, but they don't specify blue is definitely for guys or pink is definitely for girls, because when I play it with Andrew, I play the blue cards and he plays the pink cards because I like both. And he liked pink. So, whatever. And the whole idea of the story, idea of the board game is that you create a story kind of thing. You guys take on a character, and then each of your characters are given goals to reach, and then you're given like a series of scenarios. You have 3 chapters and then a finale, and each of these chapters, you each put down a card that represents a scenario, and you guys have to make choices. Like, let's go for dinner together. Where would you go? And like you as a person might think, let's go for Italian food. But you're looking at your character and you're like, I need to get certain points in certain areas of my life.
Right.
And to do that, I need to eat at this certain restaurant. And you're hoping that your partner who's playing it figures out what your goals are, what your character's goals are, and therefore know what choices to make. Because the card would be like, if you both get the same choice, then you both get happiness points. And then you both get points in certain aspects of your life. Now, the thing is, in addition to these goals, you have like destinies, your life destinies kind of thing. And this destiny is like, there's a series of destinies that you hold at the start of the game. And they range from being, me and my partner are happy all the time. Like we're always equal in our relationship. Or some of them are, I'm a domineering person and the other person's a submissive person. And these cards makes you... they
play
determine
a certain way.
Yeah, because if you're the domineering person, you have to make sure that your happiness is at the max.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure your other partner's happiness is the lowest, but still not leave you.
Yeah.
So they might choose things on purpose so that you'd lose points.
Right.
And they gain points. Yeah. So even if they know that you would choose Italian food, they will choose McDonald's on purpose just to screw with you. So it really depends on the people you play with this game, like because the choices you make and the story you make while you're doing it and the things you say. But what I find really interesting is in the rules book they say at the start, this is not representative of your relationship, right? You're playing roles, you're playing characters that don't represent you. So, like...
Please don't break up because of this game.
Yeah, essentially, that's what it's saying, yeah. Because I think their marketing is so much towards couples and their date nights that they don't want
to be sued for, you ruined my perfect relationship because of your stupid game.
Like they actually say like, it doesn't matter if your characters don't stay together at the end of the game. It's all about the story. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting that they have it in the rules book.
Speaking of, I think next time we should try it at least. It'll be interesting to see what our stories in this kind of game would be like.
I think if you're not playing with your partner, you're more likely to try and screw over the other person.
Really?
Yeah, because when you're playing it with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your partner, whatever, you even though the rule book tells you it doesn't represent your relationship.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you play it, if you've played it 10 times already, then you can start playing around with it.
Yeah.
But when you're starting off, you'd be like really hesitant. You don't want to mess up the game. You kind of like, oh, you know, we try to get like happy ending. We're always going to try and get the happy ending. But when you're playing with friends and none of that concerns you, then you might start off trying to screw over the other person. Like, you know, I want to make sure that our happiness scores has a difference of at least 60. And like, you know, that's what you're aiming for. And you're going to try everything you can to try and screw the other person over. And I think that might be a different way of playing it.
Anyway, bring it next time. We'll try it.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Let's go on to our main topic. So, as we were saying, we finished watching
Korean Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
I did it over the span of 10 weeks.
Yep. I did it over the span of 4 days. Or 5 days, actually. Was it 5 days? Or 4 days? I watched... No, 4 days only. Or was it 5 days?
I can't remember. I just remembered you messaged me, I think, like about a week ago, and saying... You know, is it worth watching? Because I'm only 2 episodes in and I don't really like it. And I was thinking, wait a second. There's 20 episodes in this show. I don't think he realized each of these episodes are like an hour and a half long.
No. So that's... So let me first talk about this lengthwise. I don't like watching movies. Yeah, I'm sure people who've listened to us would gather that by now. One of the reasons I don't like watching movies is it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to get that whole story and roller coaster and all the things done, right? Whereas a series, and I'm talking about normal US series, right? Yeah. Each episode is only 52 minutes long. Yeah. That's the general length of it because 8 minutes is worth of ads. Yep. That they need to show, right? Yep. So whenever I'm watching a series, it's only 52 minutes long per episode. Now, when I first watched A Korean Odyssey, I didn't look at the time frame because timestamps. And I know that usually Netflix originals are usually a bit longer because they know they don't need to have ad breaks. Yep. So they don't build that in. So usually it is 60 minutes or sometimes an hour and like 2, 3, 5 minutes.
They don't care. There's no restrictions. Just make them as long as you want.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with, but not when it's an hour and 24 minutes long for the first 10 episodes.
It's only an issue for you because you took so long to get started. You see, from my point of view, where I only have 2 episodes a week, those 3 hours, I want them to last as long as possible because I'm slowly, like normally, you know how you finish an episode, you try to finish the 2 episodes in a day. But I know that if I do that, I have 6 more days before the next 2 episodes come out. So this is also one of those shows where, well, this is the first time in a long time where I would split one episode over days. Right? I'm slowly savoring each minute of this show. I'm not pushing myself. Like if I'm sleepy, I don't try and finish this episode. I was just like, okay, I'll pause this. I did. Well, actually, the first 2 episodes or so, I did kind of like rush through it, and then I regretted it because then I had to wait a long time. Yeah. But later episodes, I'm like, you know what? It's fine because even if I finish it now, there's nothing available for another 6 days. So I could just stop this now, and I'll come back to it tomorrow. So I'm slowly watching this show. So it doesn't matter to me that there's an hour and a half because I'll be like, oh, I finished an episode, and then I'll be like, oh wait. There's another episode. I have another hour and a half. It's not done yet. I could take this. I still got time. I still have an hour and a half to split over my next 3 days. Yeah, no. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday now, and I got another hour and a half. I have Swordcraft on Friday, so that takes out my complete night, like the whole night, and so I only have tonight and tomorrow night. I could slowly take this slowly and watch this. So it's a completely different experience. You hated how long it was.
Oh God,
because
I
you
hated
had
how
to
long.
finish
I
it.
had to finish this within 5 days because obviously I, as usual, leave these things to the last minute and go like, "Oh,
It's not
that's
my fault.
Right,
It's not my fault.
I need to watch this. It is totally your fault for doing.
I told you about this show 2 months ago. 2 months ago.
Yeah, well, I couldn't watch that first month, so I only had a month to watch this. But it is still my fault for leaving it for 5 days. But in saying that, usually I binge watch shows anyway. And in some respects, I'm glad that I binge watched this show because if I had to wait a week for every 2 episodes, I would not be able to finish
You
this
might
show.
be more forgiving.
I wouldn't-
because you would have forgotten the bad
No,
bits and only
I would-
remember the good bits
No,
like I did.
I would not. I would look at it and go like, oh my God, that's another 2 weeks. That's another week away. You know what? I'm just gonna go watch something else now. That's much more interesting.
No,
and
no,
much
no, but
better
that's the
for me.
thing. That's the thing. By watching it slowly like this, it doesn't preclude you from watching all the other stuff you want to do. There is only 3 hours a week. There's a lot of more hours in a week for you to watch other stuff. What I did, I watched Frankie and Grace.
Anyway,
I watched...
so end of story. I really disliked the length of it because it felt like I was watching at least the first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I felt I was watching 10 movies, and God, that frustrated me because it took so long for them to get anywhere in this show.
That is true.
Everything just dragged on to ends and there was no ending inside for me. I was just like, first episode it wasn't as bad because first episode usually things are pretty quick. They're trying to introduce you to the world, introducing you to the characters.
Yeah.
It's a lot of world building.
Well, they also had the part where when she was a kid, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when she was an adult. So that kind of
It
breaks it up a
as
little
bit.
bit.
So the first episode, I kind of felt, oh, okay, that wasn't too bad. Second episode was when it really hit me how long it was. And the only reason why I say is because normally I watch a show and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's finished. Okay, I'm going to go and do whatever, or sleep or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The second episode, I was watching it and I was like, why is this not ending? Like, surely it's got to end in the next, 5 minutes, right? Like, there has to be the ending break. I can see the ending break. And you can see in the show, you can see the point where they should have ended. But no, they decided... Yeah, you thought it was going to end, didn't you? Nah, we're just going to drag on for another an extra 20 minutes.
You see, from my point of view, it's like, oh, is it ending? It's ending. Oh, no, there's still more. It's fine. Everything is fine.
Let me just drag this on for 20 more minutes before I let you go. Oh, God, that was so annoying. So, yeah. Yeah. For those people who are going to watch this show, do know that it is a long show. It is a lot longer. It's amazing how much longer 30 minutes is when
a show,
to
yeah.
a show. When you're so used to watching 50-minute blocks, an hour and a half suddenly becomes like a very, very long show. It got better at the end because by the end, the last 10 episodes were only an hour and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. I just watched them.
Yeah, I know, because that was one of the things that I kept on looking. I was like, is this going to be another hour and a half? Or, oh, wait, no, it's okay. It's only an hour and a bit. Not as bad. Not as bad.
But I wish they had the extra time because I felt like some parts of the ending was...
No,
bit
they
rushed.
don't. No, don't
No,
need
think
it.
about PK's ending, right?
No, what they should have done is use those 30 minutes at the start 10 episodes where they did nothing and use those 30 minutes to do
And
something
moved it in the end.
important.
No, that is true. I mean, look, I really like the premise of this show, and we'll talk about what the premise is in a moment. I really like the premise of this show, but I do agree that the writer, director, the person who cut the film and rearranged them
Didn't know how to
take advantage of it.
Yeah. I agree. There were parts that... Okay, to get this up, I did like part of the show. And there were parts that I was really invested in.
Yeah.
The problem for me was it never... it seems like the writer never knew really how to build up to moments in the show.
There was also what you can kind of tell. There's some things where the author or the writer hasn't made a decision yet where a certain character stands in certain issues, and therefore they waver around, and the character waver around, and when you're watching it, you're like, wait, so are they A or B?
Yeah.
Make a freaking decision, because
right now you're neither, and it's really annoying me.
So, okay, let me just explain the premise of this show first. Okay, so because I didn't do it last week, did I? You stopped me.
I think I did.
I don't remember. So there's a story called The Journey to the West. I'm sure a lot of people watched it. If they don't know that name, they might remember a show.
Monkey Magic.
Yes, Monkey Magic. The idea of there's a monk, he has a mission, and then he was given three disciples, and they travel from, I think it was China to India, or India to China, I can't remember which, to go and collect a scroll. Yep. And they're supposed to. He was supposed to spread the information. He's supposed to spread the Buddhism way, Buddhism, and save the world, right? So that's the original story, and this A Korean Odyssey essentially uses that story and gives it a modern twist. You have the monk who's not a monk. You have Samjang, that's her name. Her name, yes.
No.
Okay.
Samjang is not her name.
Her title.
Her
title. Yeah. Well, the name of her previous incarnation.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's her role.
Isn't it her monk's name? The monk's original monk. Yeah. But they use this as if it's a title.
Yeah.
Like like this person gets reincarnated.
Yeah.
And this is her. Her current reincarnation is a woman.
Yeah. The main, which is the main female lead.
Yes.
And so her character's name is Jin So-mi.
Yes.
But the people in the show kind of use this
interchange her name
and Samjang.
Yeah.
So you might hear us also interchanging it a bit.
And because I can't say Korean names, my life depend on it, so I might call her the monk just because it's just easier for me.
So a big disclaimer here. Neither of us speaks Korean. Neither of us. This is actually my first Korean TV show.
So that's also a problem, right? Like Peter doesn't have the kind of he doesn't have the threshold. He doesn't have the, what's that word again?
Expectations?
No. You can't forgive them because
I don't know what it can be like.
You haven't seen how bad it could be. So you think this is really bad? No, but there are some Korean shows that are even worse.
Anyway, so first Korean show ever.
Yeah.
And so neither of us speak Korean, and so when we say character's name, if there's any Korean listeners out there, I apologize profusely if we absolutely butchering your language. But I will try my best to replicate what.
And I won't even try. Look, there are some of the names that sound very similar to the names in Chinese, the way I know the name, which is more reason why I won't try it, because I know that a lot of what I remember the name as in Chinese will leak into the way I say these names. So I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, back to the premise. Idea is that you have this woman, she has a mission, and she's also been given 3 disciples, in a way, by destiny, so to speak. You have the monk.
Actually, would you even really say she's been given the 3? She's been given 1. Because the other 2 really isn't her disciple.
No.
That's right.
But they're his disciple. Yeah.
Well, actually, is PK even his? Like,
no,
I know he's kind of Mawang's, like the devil's.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so
he gets bullied by the monkey, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you still have the monkey, you still have the pig, and you have the.
He's supposed to be the water.
Is he a kappa?
Yeah, kappa.
Right? Like now we're mixing Japanese into this, right? Because kappa is a Japanese thing, right? Like he's a water demon. So, but here the interesting thing is they've all been modernized. So you have the monkey. He's still a monkey. He has no jobs. He's a freeloader. He's a freeloader. You have the kappa. He is an old man.
Very old man.
Very old. Let's not be ageism here. He's not really that old.
Okay.
But he's the CEO of essentially Samsung.
Yeah.
They don't call him Samsung. They
It's
call
called
him
M-Sun.
You see, I look at the subtitle and they just call it M Corporation. So they try not to link it that much.
Yeah.
And then you have PK, who's the piggy.
Piggy.
And if anyone remember the original story, he's the litrous pig
That lusts
demon.
around females and tries to,
He always chases after women. He's creepy, and none of the women ever likes him.
Yeah.
But in here, he is a
pop star.
Yeah, he's a Korean pop star, and he has a huge female fan following, and he doesn't take advantage of it. That's the most important thing, right? Like he's pretty gallant.
Yeah.
Even though he says he's a womanizer, I didn't really
never see
it.
that.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And
the premise is he basically gets energy and keeps them in like these marble balls,
Yeah.
and that's how he gets energy.
How piggy? No, well, that's how all the demons get it, right?
Yeah.
Like you suck the energy from the humans to
Yeah.
power yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it with them being. He doesn't take advantage of them.
No.
He holds concerts.
Yeah.
And all his screaming fangirls are
Yeah.
like pouring
Pouring their-
energy into the marbles,
marbles.
which he takes back to his parent company.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Okay, so in the original story, there's also a bull demon. In the original story, the bull demon is the best friend of the monkey.
Yeah.
And here, the bull demon is the manager of this entertainment company.
Lucifer Entertainment.
Lucifer Entertainment. And a lot of his artists are actually demons.
Yeah.
And they're all taking advantage of all these fans. And they're getting all these energy and it gets redistributed. It's like a big kind of mafia family thing situation. But that's not the point of this story. Okay, this is a love story.
Yes.
If you think about it, it's a bit weird
Yes.
that the monk and the monkey is going to get together. But we just wave that around.
Yeah.
The thing is, if everyone remembers Monkey Magic, Monkey had an issue with authority. And so when they gave him to the monk to be a disciple, they also put a gold band around his head.
Yeah.
And so anytime he's disobedient, the monk could recite these chant this thing, and the ring will shrink and cause the monkey a lot of pain. So in this story, let's ignore the reason why she needed it or whatever. There's still a band, but the band doesn't go around his head. It's a bracelet that he puts around his wrist. And he was tricked into putting it on, kind of.
Yep.
Not that she actively tricked him into doing it, but situation made it so that he put it on himself.
Yeah.
Wait, he put it on himself.
Yeah.
Oh, but she activated it.
it.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait,
she activated it.
Let's not talk about how she had it.
I'll activate. Actually, I found that quite sweet when she said, activate.
And then he's like, I don't think that we're jumping ahead. We're jumping ahead. Okay. No, the idea is, okay, so they put this bracelet on his arm, on his wrist, and she activated by kissing him. She didn't actually realize that was the way to activate it. No.
She saw it as a premonition that that's something that will happen, and so she just followed what was going to happen. And that turned out to be
the activation
that
for
needed.
The bracelet. Yeah. And what happened was that you found out that they knew there was a gold band around the head.
Yeah.
This thing existed. Yeah. But they knew that pain was not the best way to get people to do things you want them to do.
Yeah.
So they made this new bracelet and they make the wearer of the bracelet fall in love with the person who activated or owns the bracelet, in this case the woman. So he then falls in love with her so that he will do everything she says and not harm her and stuff, which is one of the reasons why she wanted him to wear it in the first place. So in a way, we don't really need to talk about the reason why she had to put the bracelet on him, because it made no difference to the story in the end. It doesn't matter that he wanted to eat her flesh at the start, because, okay, that was one of the main storylines in the original story. The reason why this monk needed these disciples was because his flesh was rumored to bring a lot of power to the demon who eats him. Right? So all these demons are clamoring to try and capture him and eat him so that they could gain power. And so these 3 disciples were given to him to protect him. So in this story, it's kind of the same. Okay, there's a rumor not just her flesh, but
Yeah,
her
blood.
blood would cause demons to flock to her and try to eat her.
Yeah.
And so she needed protection, and the monkey was the one to
Protect her, basically.
protect her because of the bracelet.
Yeah.
Look, I like the whole idea that she made a pact with him
Yeah.
when she was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And how, in a way, she kind of was tricked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he was a jerk at the start. Well, he was a jerk
a-
for most of the show.
Yeah.
And it was, in a lot of ways, this show defies my expectations, right? Like, you wouldn't expect him to, no matter how much of a dick most people are in a show, you don't screw with kids to the extent he screwed with this kid,
Yeah.
right? Sure, you might bully them. Sure, you might trick them, but you don't promise them something. Like, you make a pact and you word it in such a way that, you know, at first you make the pact without even thinking about tricking them.
Yeah.
You know, the way they said it, he didn't think of tricking her until he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait a second, we made a pact. You can't leave me. You have to protect me. And then he's like, okay,
Right.
but okay, our pact was I'll protect you whenever you call me.
Yeah.
Whenever you call my name. So what's my name? And then the moment she wanted to say his name, he takes her memory of his name away from her. He doesn't take the memory of the event.
Yeah.
He just takes away the name. So she knows she's been screwed by him. She's been in danger her whole entire life. She was thinking she finally found like
A protector.
and then he turns out to be a jerk and runs away, you know, and goes away. And you're like, whoa, okay, he's a dick. He's supposed to be the main character, but he's a dick. But okay, so that was, I went further than I expected to. You know, I wasn't supposed to explain this backstory, and I did. It makes no difference in the end. This is a story that is, was it paranormal, supernatural?
Yeah.
It's a love story. It's everything I want it to be, like from that point of view.
Yeah.
And yet, it wasn't. While I'm watching it, there are moments where I'm like, "Oh, it's so romantic." Oh, you know, yeah. He puts a star in the sky for her. Oh, that's so cute.
There are snippets and moments in the show which are very good,
Yes.
possibly brilliant, and there's potentials abound everywhere in this show. But ultimately, the show failed, in my
Yeah.
opinion,
They
in
didn't.
its execution.
Yeah.
One of the main problems, I guess, for me anyway, is that each character development is very important for me. I watch any show. I want to see characters develop. I want to see them grow. I want to see them change. I want to see them learn and progress. I think the problem with this particular show was characters change, but they change very flippantly.
It's kind of random.
Yeah. So you see them change for a bit, and then they'll do a 180-degree change, like 3 episodes later, and then change back to where they were a few episodes. Like,
Well, okay,
it just feels like there's no continuity.
Okay,
in the way
here's
the
an
characters-
example. We both like how PK develops feelings for Richie.
Yeah. So Richie is another character. in
Another
the
character
show.
show.
Yeah, she's the zombie.
And that's also really cool. But you don't actually see why he develops feelings for her. It's a change,
Yeah.
but you don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, are they spending a lot of time together? We just accept it because, if anything, that's one of the subplots that we both really shipped.
Yeah.
We really liked them together.
That was one of the better ones. That
Yeah.
was actually
Yeah. So I was willing to forgive them a lot of things with that, but upon further reflection, it's like, well, they didn't really
show you why they became
Yeah.
close. Why was he suddenly treating her as the sister, like so close to him, and so that he
Yeah.
would do anything for? It just happened in
Yeah.
some respects, and then we kind
And
of
we were willing to accept it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted it to happen,
Yeah.
but there was really no reason.
no. But yeah, for me it was like so. We've got the monkey,
Yeah.
Su Gong. We've got Sanjiang.
Yes.
And then there's the third main character, which is the Ma Wang,
Yes,
the bull demon.
Yep.
Ma Wang Nim.
Yeah.
I think it's Nim like Mister?
I have no idea. I have no.
But yeah, so his Ma Wang's character changes very dramatically throughout the show.
They try to explain it.
They try, but it never feels comfortable, or it never feels.
No, okay. They try to say, okay, at the start he's all about trying to be a deity.
Yeah.
And at first you're thinking it's all just fun and games for him. You know, he just wants to win.
Yeah.
Then you realize, no, there's a serious reason why he wants to be a deity, because he wants to be a god, because he wants to save his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and he's all focused on that, and he doesn't really care who he hurts. When that kind of resolves, then he can focus on the people around him, because he's fulfilled what he needed to do, right? So he's focused on trying to get to save the monkey, because he's going to die, right? And or he thinks he's going to die, and so he's a little bit more outward facing. Now, the way I'm explaining it, it seems to be like
progression.
A progression. Problem is not the fact that they're showing it as kind of flippant. It's because, as I said, they don't do a very good job at doing punchlines when they don't fulfill the potential of certain things, right? You find out that he actually has a wife who is currently going through a lot of painful reincarnations. That's supposed to be a very big thing.
Yeah.
And they kind of tell you it's a painful thing, but they don't really delve into it a lot. So by not delving into a lot, you don't feel that he should be all concentrating and all consumed by this at this moment, because you don't feel like the situation's that serious.
Yeah.
Then when they do resolve the situation, they do it in such a way where it feels like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's resolved.
That's
now?
all there is to it.
So when he changes again, you feel like, but there wasn't that big of a... There wasn't a climax here. So why is there a change in his personality when nothing has happened?
Yeah.
So it's not that his character didn't change. They just didn't justify the changes.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of characters in the show, though. It's not just him. Like, that's just one. I think he was just the more obvious one, because it was just...
His story was so...
bland.
The start to the end, it's all there, right? It doesn't jump around too much, whereas some of the other characters, they tend to disappear for a while, and then they come back. So you don't have this continuous story to keep track of. So they disappear for a while, come back, and they're like a different character. And you're like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you have the piggy who's kind of like... He's just a fun character who's really selfish. All he cares about is trying to make himself more powerful.
Yeah.
At one point, he wanted to destroy Samjang so he could get a piece of her himself, so he could gain power. And he doesn't really care about anything but himself.
Yeah.
Then he disappears for a while.
Yeah.
You have an introduction of the zombie girl.
Yeah.
Look, a fantastic character, because when she when she was introduced, I thought she was just going to be a monster of the week and be, killed off very soon. But no, they dress her up, they fix her up, they put her in a freezer so she stops rotting.
Yeah.
I like how they open the fridge and she's sitting in there.
Yeah,
They're like,
right.
what are you doing in there? It's like, well, I need to keep cold, otherwise I'm going to rot.
Yeah. Of all the characters, I must say, in this show, I think the Richie, which is the zombie girl, also Jungsera. She has multiple names, unfortunately, in this show, because
that's the thing, right? Her finding out her name was supposed to be this big thing, but
again, that didn't really.
They didn't do it enough, because she died so quickly after knowing it.
But in saying that, I think she was the outstanding character for me throughout the show. Her character made sense to me, and I think it developed the most normally, and it developed the most...
because she was the most human one of them. Like, everyone else was born with these superpowers kind of thing. She was a human who was killed
by accident.
And then she was accidentally made into a zombie. And none of this was her fault. She didn't ask for any of this, and she was just doing the best she can. And her acting, as you mentioned, we were talking about this before, like, sometimes when you watch shows, you could tell when an actress or an actor cares so much about the way they look that they don't get fully into the role.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, there are some scenes. You think about when Samjang was doing the dancing and singing, and it was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
And you're watching, it's like, wow, you're willing to do that. Although at the same time, I kind of feel like you're not really fully invested in that scene
I felt like she was holding back a lot, actually.
Actually? Okay.
Well, I skipped through that scene, to be fair. So
Okay.
I only saw bits of it, and then I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. But yeah, I felt like she wasn't really that committed in that scene.
Right.
Whereas I feel Richie, the zombie girl, she was really committed when she pretended to be a zombie. When
she's
was
shuffling around,
trying, like the way she was moving as a zombie
was
that was
so
broken.
creepy, yeah.
Oh my god, that was like the way she. And then there was that moment when she was showing
she,
Mawan.
like, I know how to dance,
Yeah.
and so she dances in front of him, and it was one of the most gruesome. Kind of like
'Cause
the body movements and like, oh my god, how is your body moving that way? And you look kind of weird because that's what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny, right?
Yeah.
Like she's making the moves that if you're even slightly familiar with K-pop dancing, she's making those moves.
Yeah.
But she's making them in a way that is like completely horrific.
Yeah,
and
because
it's like,
because her body is supposed to be like disjointed and stuff, and she's broken, have like
Yeah.
limbs and stuff like. But yeah, and so she would dance all this in this like really zombie like movement.
Yeah.
But it looked really good in some respects because I was like, wow, that was
you really committed to this dance.
Yeah. I think she was definitely the standout for me. Actually, throughout the whole show, I really loved her character.
Okay, I'm going to talk about her and PK in a little bit.
Yeah.
But just going back to a previous point, and I'm surprised I actually remembered the previous point because normally I'd be swept away. But now I was saying how so PK was at first really selfish.
Yeah.
Then he disappears for a while, and then you introduce Richie, and you kind of see a brief kind of like interaction between PK and Richie for a few bits, and you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then like without any kind of fanfare or anything, their relationship blooms into like a very sweet kind of like, it wasn't romantic.
Not
at least not at that point.
Yeah. But
they care for each other. You can see that they care for each other.
Yeah.
At the same time, I never really know whether Richie cared for him the same way he cared for her at first. And I felt like she was holding back because she knew she was going to die. And I felt like he was holding back because he knows she was going to die.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you can end this because
No.
they have said, you know, she's a zombie. She's gonna rot.
Yeah.
There's no way you can retain
her.
this body. Like she's gonna go.
Yeah.
She's gonna turn into an evil person.
Yeah.
Like
Evil
if-
spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she doesn't die, if you don't kill her, if you don't get rid of her, she's gonna turn into evil spirit. And she's one of the sweetest characters.
Yeah.
Right. To the point where it was like a little bit. Like, really? Is it real? Like, is a person really that sweet? I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I really liked her, right? And then she gets in danger, right? Like, she does nearly turn. And suddenly PK's like all about protecting her. But it wasn't unbelievable. You know how I was saying how everything else, like, I don't understand how this character suddenly changes from being like this to like that because the story doesn't seem to support it.
Yeah.
Here it was like, it was so subtle.
Yeah, but
and
you
you
felt
kind of
like-
I believe it
Yeah.
because they did have a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the chemistry between characters,
Yeah.
right? I felt like there was chemistry there. And like the extreme that he went to try to protect her and the things he was willing to sacrifice and to betray to try and protect her. And I like, that was really cool.
That was really sweet.
I really liked it.
Yeah, that was like one of the sweetest part of the show. And we're like, oh.
But the thing is, while that was going on, you have the octopus prince. Okay, here's the thing, right? There are multiple characters in the show that get introduced fairly late. Okay, in a way, Richie was kind of introduced. She was early, but
Early-ish.
introduced in such a way that you thought that she was a throwaway character, right? And then you have the octopus prince, who was like introduced way later.
Yeah.
And again, you thought he was he was going to go away.
Yeah.
Because he takes over a woman's body, like a female model
Artist, yeah.
singer's body. And for a while, you're thinking, okay, this is a situation, and they have to get rid of. They have to solve this situation, right? Because that at this point in the show, it was all like about monsters of the week and trying to resolve a monster of the week.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the monster. He was just one of the results of getting rid of a monster. Like, I don't know how to say it. But he doesn't go away.
No.
He takes over her this woman's body and is affected by the woman because the woman is majorly infatuated with PK. And so when this not princess, when this prince takes over her body, he starts developing feelings as
for
well.
him.
And it was really funny to see how at the start she's walking around with these gaits that like a man, like the way he's walking and
pushing up his broom.
Like and he's doing
What's
things,
with these things?
and they kept on trying to stop her from doing things that are embarrassing because she'll be like, oh, I can't wear these shoes. Like she's tripping over it and all this stuff. But later on, she's like a woman. She's in love with PK.
Yeah.
And while watching this, I could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
And I had no problems with it, to be honest. But I could see how it wasn't going to last.
Yeah, it wasn't going to end well.
It's not going to end well. Like Piggy, because of the zombie girl, is going to put himself into a situation where he's going to be in danger. He needs to be saved, and the octopus girl is going to, octopus prince is going to throw himself in front of a bullet or whatever it is and die in the process, right? And I expected that coming from a mile away, and I was all prepared
bracing yourself to be tear-jerked and
my God, I was
tissues were going to be everywhere.
Yeah, I had boxes of tissue near me. I was preparing to like have snot and tears going everywhere, right? And and the thing is, it did turn out that way, right?
Yes, exactly as we expected.
Piggy got into a situation because of the zombie girl, and he was gonna die.
Yeah.
Right? And the octopus prince comes and saves the day and sacrifices himself and dies.
Yep.
Except the writer manages to mangle it so badly that I'm watching this and I'm like, this scene that I was looking forward to, this experience, because the whole point of watching a Korean romance is not just to squeal at the happy bits, but to like completely break down in the sad ones.
And bawl your eyes out and watching it.
That's the whole point. And I'm watching this, waiting for my tears to come. Instead, I'm just watching this. I'm like, wait, that's it? Like, wait, she's dead now? But I don't feel anything.
Like, where's my tears?
Where's
the tear-jerk moment?
What happened?
Where's the moment?
And I felt like I started getting really disillusioned because the Piggy one was the one where I really expected it to go. Because sometimes the main story, as much as they make you cry and stuff, they don't hit you the way side stories do because for some unknown reason, that's just the way it is because you expected the main story to be sad or good or whatever. So with that kind of expectations, they never really live up to it. Whereas the side characters, no matter how much you expect it, they normally exceed what you expect. Yeah. So this one was way low than my expectation. Like it just passed me by, and I'm like, what just happened? That's it.
And it wasn't even just the Dragon Prince and PK, and it was the same with PK and Richie. Yeah. Like that relationship again, it just disappeared at the end. Yeah. Like it was briefly mentioned,
and they didn't even mention what happened to PK at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Right at the end, the last scene you see was him. Burning up the zombie girl. Yeah. Because that was one of the big twists in this story was that zombie girl, she gets taken over by an evil spirit. Like, she doesn't turn evil. Yeah. An existing evil spirit takes over her. Body. And for the second half of the show, she's one of the main bad guys. Yeah. And which is why we really like her as an actress because...
she did such a good job at, like, the different portrayals of those characters. Yep. Like, when she was the innocent... girl zombie compared to when she became like the evil bad, like it was two totally
but even when
ways.
She was evil bad at the start, she was like this really powerful priestess who's like evil, and then you kind of realize that she's lost most of her powers and she becomes kind of like a sad creature and like she's really kind of like nothing she does ever works the way she wants it to work, and you kind of feel sorry for her.
I know, right? She's one of those.
And she even says, "I'm not an evil character. Like I'm not an evil spirit. Yeah, what I'm doing is for the good of this country. Yeah, right. I'm supposed to raise up a golden demon, golden dragon, who will bring wealth and prosperity to this country." And they're like, "No, you've been stuck inside a coffin for so long, you've turned evil and you don't even know it. The dragon that you're going to call up is going to bring...
It's not an auspicious one.
No.
It's a black dragon that you're calling.
And he will destroy the world. You're evil. And she just doesn't accept it. And you're watching this and you're thinking, oh... So we talked about all the other relationships.
We haven't talked about the main one.
We haven't talked about the main one. We haven't talked about the main one for a few reasons. One, Peter disapproves, and we'll let you talk about why you disapprove in a moment. Two, the acting was conflicting and confusing.
Yes, very much so.
And I think the two main leads don't have chemistry.
No.
So very quickly recap. He's wearing a bracelet that forces him to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
The start of the story is she refuses because she knows
It's
it's
fake.
fake.
Yeah.
So she ignores him. She tells him to go away. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
You only come when I call you because I need help.
Yes.
Basically.
And even when she starts to have feelings, she's rejecting it because it's like, I know this is fake, right? I need to stop listening to you because everything that you're saying, you might believe.
Yeah.
But once this bracelet is taken off,
You will go back to yourself
yes,
and you
and,
would want
and
to
I
eat
will
me
be,
again.
and I will be a fool for falling in love with you.
Yeah.
Okay. But the story goes that then he continues to bug her in a way, and she falls in love with him, and he falls in love with her for real. And then very quickly summarizing, you find out that they weren't meant to be together. Like they were.
Yeah.
Like she thinks that they were destined by fate to be together, and that they will live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And you find out that's not the case. They're not supposed to live happily ever after.
They're supposed to kill each other.
Well, the mission that she has for saving the world involves her being a sacrifice and getting killed.
Yeah.
And he's the one who has to kill her. And that would fulfill the mission, right? And the idea was that the moment he has to kill her, the bracelet was supposed to disappear so that he won't be in love with her when
Anymore.
he kills her.
Yeah.
And the complexity of this relationship is by this time that they're falling in love with each other, she's thinking, it's fine. You know, it's fine for you to kill me because at least I know the bracelet will be gone.
Yeah.
You won't still be in love with me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have left someone in this world all alone without me.
Yeah.
That's the whole overarching story, which could have been compressed a lot quicker in this show, but they have, because it's a Korean show, they had to have a lot of back and forth, like, oh, do I love you? Do I not love you?
Yes.
They both like each other, but they refuse to admit to each other. Then they admit to each other, but still they find out that they're supposed to kill each other. And then they're like, oh, should we stay together or not stay together? Still love each other, but try to protect each other, just go on and on and on, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why it's not as impactful normally than side stories, because of the fact they take so long to get somewhere or drag so long, you kind of get a little tired.
Over it.
Yeah. Whereas the side stories are normally
Compressed.
short enough to really hit you in the guts.
Yeah.
So that's the overarching thing. Now here is Peter's disapproval of the relationship. Peter, take it away.
Okay, so we've already mentioned that the reason why he's in love with her is because of the bracelet, right?
Yep.
So my whole problem with this show is the fact that this whole story feels like a big Stockholm Syndrome story. Like, I know, like, what they're trying to get is, like, because he does eventually fall in love for real with her. And that's supposed to make us go like, oh, they're actually now in love. My problem is, yes, but he's still forced to fall in love with her in the first place. No matter how much he falls in love with her after that, that whole premise of him being forced to be in love with someone in order for this whole thing to happen, that's not okay for me. It's like, but it's all gonna, it's telling like, oh, it's gonna be fine because, I know it's like we're putting you into prison, but once you're in prison, you'll love to be in the prison. So it's fine you're in prison because you'll love it. You'll learn to love it.
Here's the problem, right? Like, oh, this bracelet will stay on you and will cause you pain until you voluntarily fall in love with her. At that point, you could take off the bracelet.
Yeah. So that's like, no, this is not okay for a story. It's condoning everything that we kind of don't accept these days. It's like, love shouldn't be forced upon each other. That's not true love at the end of the day. No matter what they try to tell you, oh, it's true love at the end, I don't believe it is, because at no point did he supposedly willingly goes into this. At no point was he...
Well, he does, because the idea is that he was able to take off the bracelet.
And then goes back into
and
it.
And he puts it back onto himself. Like, it's like,
But that's only predicate because he was forced to in the first place. I can't get out of my head that this whole thing, whole premise is based on something as fallible as that idea, and it bugged me, like it annoyed me so much watching this show, because I'm like, and it annoyed me even more the fact that she knowingly knows that it's fake and still goes into this relationship knowing that it's fake and knowing that it's not true, and yet she tells you that I know it's fake, and I'm still going to go into it because even though it's fake, I like it and it's making me happy.
Peter. You know how you were complaining about how long this show was? Because they had to spend like 5 or 6 episodes delving into how she's like, no, I should not be in love with him, but I can't stop myself. Oh, I should not be in love with him, but I really can't. He's so sweet though. Oh, I really shouldn't. Like, that went on for so long.
I know, right? It kind of like every episode they had to at least spend 30 minutes on just that alone. It just seems to be there had to be a back and forth scene in each episode of them going about that, and then he'll say some random comments, and then she'll be like, "Oh, but no, I can't do it." No.
Okay, yeah. I think the showrunners or the writers actually understand that is a problem, right? So they try to convince you by showing you all those scenes that neither of them wanted to be part of this relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Both of them were put into it kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
And they do show how at the start, even though they liked each other, it was not the same kind of relationship they had at the end.
No.
Right?
No.
At the start, he would say, I love you, but
Please
take this bracelet off me.
Yeah.
I love you, take this bracelet off. You know, I will, I have the sauces in my fridge.
Yeah.
Right? I'm crying while I'm looking at these sauces that I've made that I was planning to be dipping sauce when I eat you, but I'm still going to keep them in my fridge. Right? That it's supposed to show you that even though the bracelet is affecting the way he feels, it doesn't affect his actions too much. Like there are certain things where he's still a jerk. He's still plotting for her to die.
Yeah. He's still a jerk.
And just like how she, even though she's getting affected by him, she would tell him to go away, or like, no, I'm not going to take the bracelet off you. Or like, I don't trust you, or all sorts of things. And it kind of like, you could see the difference where at the end, when she was taken over by the evil spirit and he pushes her down the stairs, right? And then he's thinking, there was like a split moment, and then he disappears, and I'm like, what? And then I realize he's at the bottom of the stairs and he catches her because he still can't harm her. Yeah. And you're like, wait, this is a different feeling from when at the start he didn't care, right? He was supposedly in love, like air quotes, in love with her. Yeah. But in the same breath, he'll be talking to other people about trying to get her killed, right? So that he would no longer be like bound by this thing. And there you'd be like, he can't even think about doing bad things. Like it wouldn't even occur to him. Like his personality is different, right? Like he's so sweet and he's so caring. But the problem here is again the writing. It does. No matter how much time they spent telling us or showing us these scenes where they slowly fall in love, it's not convincing.
No.
So
and you mentioned this. It doesn't help when you feel very little chemistry between the two actors. So scenes where they're supposed to be making you kind of go like, "Oh, this is the moment," but it's never genuine enough because we don't feel that chemistry between them.
Yes.
And it never builds up. Those scenes never link to each other.
No.
So it's kind of, we have this snippet that we see a little
every
bit,
moment,
and it goes away.
Like sometimes
snippet and it goes away. It's like trying to catch snow. That's what it feels like. Like it's this fleeting moment that they managed to catch. And then it's just gone.
Did you see the video, the viral video of the raccoon, the Japanese raccoon?
And cotton catty?
And then putting it into the water. I'm like, why would you do that to it?
But that feels exactly like what this is. It's just like, it's there, but it's gone. It's there, but it's gone. And where is it? It's gone. I can't get it back. I feel like the raccoon when I'm watching this show. That cotton candy that I was promised, it's gone.
Stop putting it in the water and it won't dissolve. I felt so sad for the raccoon. It's like, oh, so he looks so confused. But yeah, back to this show. Yeah, so they bring up some interesting concept, like the questions of like, so. Look, would you still go into a relationship knowing
it's fake?
It's fake,
and I do like I did like the fact at the end when he managed to take it off himself because he no longer needs it.
Yep.
But then he puts it back on himself.
But you see, I was wondering why he would do that. And then when you see the epilogue, then you're like, okay, because then she can't take it off.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's not the one who put it on, because he put it back on himself. And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that bit. That was kind of cool. But apart from that, I didn't really care too much about the epilogue.
Yeah, I did. I thought the epilogue was okay.
Look, I liked the epilogue because her death was so anticlimactic. I felt like that you needed to give her some medium
Closure.
to say bye or
Yeah.
something. But it was like, you're back for 24 hours. It's the longest 24 hours, by the way. Like, I thought there was 3 days in that 24 hours she was there. And, it was kind of sweet for him to be building back, like, oh, he doesn't know who she is, and then slowly by the way, it took him a fairly short time. Again, I could see that this storyline of him trying to regain his memory, if you extended it for like a couple of weeks where he's still trying to fight, like, who are you? I don't believe you. You say, you hurt me and stuff like that. I don't, and then slowly saying, oh, so you say you were in love with me, and it was all one-sided. So he's starting to believe that, and then he's starting to remember things that contradicts with that image. You're like, wait, no, I'm in love with you too. All that stuff. If you extend it and fully delve into it, I could completely see myself sobbing my eyes out because, like, no, don't believe her when she says only that you don't love her. You do love her, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't spend enough time with that. It's like, oh. You say that it's one-sided. Okay, I believe in you.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, wait a second, I remember something. No, you're lying to me. I'm in love with you too, aren't I? And I'm like, wait, I'm not feeling anything. And then he's like, oh, I am in love with you, but I don't care. And he walks away. And you're like, some of these, the writer's not very good with climax.
No.
Like, just like that last fight with the dragon.
Oh, God.
You're supposed to go and fight the dragon, and like you have, oh, you're about to lose, and then you have a second wind, and you come back and you fight, and you defeat the monster. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Keep you on the edge of the seat. Here it's like, I'm going to fight this monster. Monster slightly defeats me. The love of my life, because of other reasons, is dying.
I'm just going to go away now.
I'm going to smash you against the wall, and you're slightly unconscious for a while. I'm going to take my lover, disappear somewhere for like hours and hours while I say goodbye to her in the most anticlimactic way possible. Again, she's dying. Well, she died, and I'm like, wait, that's it? I'm not crying. I don't see what's going on here.
Where's my bawling out moment?
And the way she dies as well, it's like, wait, like, she died because another human stabbed her? Like, that was what? Like, I don't care. I really don't care.
Yeah.
And then, like, she dies, and I don't feel anything. And then he comes back to the dragon, who's now waking up from the one-punch knockout that he experienced, and they do another fight. And
I would put fight in air quotes because it's not really a fight scene. It's kind of like
posed in front of.
It's let me pose as a fighting a martial artist. Let me pose this one movement, and that's it. Because there is no fight. There is no choreography to a fight in this. If there was anything that I hated about this show, is like, considering how powerful he's supposed to be, how good of a fighter he's supposed to be, we see no fighting in this show, and we see no attempt at making him look cool while he's fighting. It's just like, let me just pose.
Well, no,
yes.
he's very good at like falling from the sky and landing in this really cool pose.
Yeah. But that's it.
But he looks cool doing it. Don't diss that. He looked cool doing that. But look, so he's fighting this demon. you had that mounting kind of supposed mounting danger when he was first fighting this dragon and his love is dying, but then the love dies and he carries her away, then he comes back and already you've lost all the momentum you had before because not only did you see the love die and all that stuff, you have other scenes.
Yeah,
you have
intermissions.
scenes with all these other characters talking about, oh, the dragon's not gone yet, he's still there. I'm like, I feel no danger, because he goes back, resumes the fight,
and then
defeats the guy, and you're like, okay. the big bad that we've been talking about for the past 10 episodes.
Dies
And I say 10
like
episodes
that.
because they don't mention him at all in the first 5 or first 10.
Yeah.
You just defeated him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. 5 minutes of airtime, and that's all the amount of money we can pay for the CG. So that's how much time you're gonna have.
And then, okay, I like how they're like, oh, we don't have enough money for the main character to interact with the CG dragon.
Yeah.
So we will make it so that the dragon's actually in a different plane.
Yeah.
And we'll represent this by having this gate in between them. And so
they
neither of them have to touch each other. They're just like exuding their aura
Energy.
through this gate. And whoever kind of wins. It doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter. You could still have done that. If you built up the action and the tension properly, that could still have been
It would still
a
be fine.
believable scene.
Yeah.
It's just they
It's just
dissipated
broken
it.
up.
Yeah,
They broke it up into like bits
Bits.
and pieces, and let me put this chunk here, and then we'll have another 2 side stories that we need to
Talk
talk
about,
about, and then
and
put
then-
another scene here, and then another 2 side story, and then put the final part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not building a sandwich, mate. And if it was a sandwich, the meat should be the important part, not the main action shouldn't be the bread. It's like, what?
So yeah, like I don't care by that point.
I can just say this at that part where he finally defeats the dragon and he's supposed to lose his memory, or his memory is supposed to be fragmented. We don't see that.
No.
I would love to have them. If that was going to be the case and they wanted us to show that, I would like to show his fragmented memories gone at that point. Like, show me something that sees his memory going away.
The idea was that he was supposed to be so hurt in this fight. All you see was a couple of scratches on him, and then he falls down.
Yeah.
Right, and then afterwards they tell you
That his memory has been
They don't
fragmented.
show you. They tell you, oh, his whole body was crushed.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so hurt in this. His mind was crushed. His body was crushed.
But his heart was fine.
His heart was protected by the bracelet. Yeah. And you're like, I don't feel any of it because you're telling me this after the fact. It's I don't care.
Yeah, he's telling us this fairy tale
about how the monkey has been really, really fatally hurt. But obviously all is fine because you're sitting there telling the story, right? I like the idea of how he had to rebuild his memory. And as I said, that would have been a cool third part of the story, right? Like you have the first part, the boring bit about how all these characters get together and none of it really matters. And then you have the middle part where they have to try and stop the
big
bad kind of thing. And then you have the third part. The really romantic bit, right? Make me cry. Make me cry. Instead, you have 24 hours, and you're wasting that 24 hours with her, meeting with her
old employee,
which could have been cool. If she talked to him.
Yeah.
Instead, she shows up. He gets scared.
And
he knocks
faints.
himself unconscious, and you're like,
that's it.
okay, you missed another good point. Like that part about how she left him the company later on, he finds out the next morning and he's crying. I felt a little bit. It was like, oh, because he doesn't even realize. But from his point of view, she died because she went on a trip and got killed in a car crash. And I'm like, he has no idea.
Yeah.
He doesn't know any of it. And like, then you think back about the last conversation they had was when she said to him, don't cry at your daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. Korean TV shows are also notorious about doing flashbacks. They always show you the previous scenes, and my mother hates it because she's like, why are you constantly showing me things? I just watched it, especially when you're watching a binging show. You've just watched it. But they do this because, before they show it on TV, and you might have missed it, that they also do it because they're hammering in the idea. If you forgot that scene, let me show you this scene. Like, this is the last thing she said to you. She said to you to, But in this show, they don't really do a lot of that kind of flashback. And I feel maybe that's a problem because I'm thinking back now. I was like, oh, that last scene when she was talking to him, that thing that she said to him, that was the last thing she said to him before she died. But I had to remember it now.
Yeah.
That doesn't help me cry. It's been too long now. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm watching this to cry. You're not making me cry. What is wrong with you?
So what kind of Korean show are you?
I think we've talked about this enough because I want to retain some good memory of this show. I don't want to trash it too much. I feel like I need to introduce you, probably in the next one, definitely not the next one, but I want to introduce you to a traditional good Korean TV show. Look, there is a good Korean TV show called On Air, but that one doesn't make you cry. But that one does make you squeal, and that one is the one that talks about filming a TV show, a Korean TV show. Yeah. But I don't want to use that as my next one because again, that's not a traditional. That's not not normal. Yeah, that's not a traditional Korean TV show. I think I want to make you watch either Full House or My Girl. My Girl is like the girl, she lies all the time. Like, she's a really good liar, and she's constantly trying to con people. And then you have this rich guy. His grandfather's like, you have a cousin, like an estranged cousin. Like, I haven't talked to her mother in a long time, and I really want to find her. And so this rich guy, he's trying to find her, but he's having a hard time, and his grandfather's about to die or something. So he decides that he's going to hire this con girl, con woman to pretend to be his cousin. And so he invites her to his home, and tell his whole family this is a cousin, the long lost cousin that we finally found. And because of that, the grandpa miraculously recovers, right, as you do. And so she has to stay there now.
Yeah.
She can't just leave. And they're trying to work out an exit strategy for her to leave.
Yeah.
And obviously, they fall in love with each other, but they can't tell anyone because they're cousins, right? Like, there's all these things that's going on. So at the start, this is like one of those ones where at the start it's ridiculous. You have a girl who's lying all the time, and she manages to trick everyone into thinking that she's some rich girl, and all of this is going on, but all that passes very quickly because this is a show that's like 30, 40 episodes. I don't know. It's a long episode, but a lot of episodes, but a lot shorter because this is traditional TV stuff. And then you get the serious stuff going where they're like, oh, we like each other, but we can't. And it's like, you can't because you're a con woman, or, well, you can't because I need to leave. And then like they decide that she can't, like when they finally decide, no, we can be together, I'll just run away or something. We'll run away. But then she decides that she's going to take, because the grandpa need her or something like that. She's going to take over that identity and make it herself, make it her own. She's going to she's going to be this person that she was pretending to be. And if that's the case, they can't be together. And at this point, I'm like crying all over the place. Like, no, but you guys love each other. Don't do this for Judy. You love each other. No. And I'm watching this thing, and it's just it's traditional. It's really good. I think I really want to introduce you to this one because it was really. I'm like, because there was this one part where she's off doing something herself. And the guy was watching her in a way. Like, she's not... they were together, like, she went off to buy something, and he went to get the wallet and came back, and he sees her, and he's talking to himself. He's like, you idiot, what are you doing? Because, like, he's been watching her, and he's feeling something. You can see from his expression that he loves her and stuff. And then he's berating himself. Like, you idiot, what do you think you're doing? And because of all the things that you've seen in the previous thing, at that moment, I'm like... heartstring tugged really badly. And I'm just like, let me just swoon for a little bit. And I'm watching this show. I'm like, this is so good. This is so good. And then when I'm crying, I'm like, oh my god, why am I doing this to myself? It was fantastic. You watch Korean shows for that.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm watching this and I'm like, God damn it, cry.
Yeah, you're expecting to.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the problem. There are so many parts where you're expecting things to happen, but they never do. But
it shouldn't affect it because I watch Korean shows expecting it and they still make me cry.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So it's not like my expectations were too high, but this one just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I said, we should wrap up. Any ending comments? I know I have one. Do you mind if I jump?
You go first.
Yep. I didn't realize until watching this show how anti-Japan Korea is. Right? Like, that one of the not storylines, but one of the things about one of the characters, the bad guy, was that his family used to be pro-Japanese.
Yeah.
And apparently that's a big no-no. Like, such a big no-no that it was generations ago, but still it affects him now. Like, oh, he can't be a politician. He can't accept, like, this Korean Foundation award. His ancestors was pro-Japanese. No, how can we do that? No. And I'm thinking, really? Like, in this day and age, there's, I don't know, it just seems so out of character. I didn't realize it was a thing, but apparently it was a thing. Yeah.
So that was your ending kind of conclusion. Okay, my conclusion is just very simple. If this is your first Korean show, don't watch this.
Oh yeah, don't watch this as your first Korean show.
Would I recommend this show?
There's so many things that could be good about this.
I would say this would be one of those shows that would be really great for fan fiction writers in some respects.
Oh, to fix.
You know, go and use your imagination to
go and prosper.
And write all the scenes that we wanted to see but didn't happen. Do it, because you guys would have done such a better job. But if you're wanting to watch this show to feel emotional and to feel, to feel your heart being tugged, forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that might be true. But there's not that many... Well, no, not true. There's been more and more, like, slightly supernatural Korean shows that are kind of good. Like, I know that there's one that's out already. I saw it in Hong Kong, and I really wanted to watch it, but that was, like... I was on holiday. I couldn't possibly do it. Where this doctor, he finds these incense, and every single time he lights one of the incense, he gets to travel back, 15 years or whatever, to a specific time, because he's trying to solve a murder, that kind of thing. Okay. He knows that he's going to die, or someone's going to die, forget whatever, in like 3 weeks or whatever time. And he's trying to solve or stop that from happening by going back in time. But he only had like 9 incense sticks. So as you're watching it, his
pile dwindles.
His pile goes away, and it's like not a Sherlock Holmes, but if you like kind of like the kind of detective work as well, you're watching it, and there is like the whole, is he going to do it in time? Is he going to do it in time? And then when all the incense is gone, you're like, oh my God, he didn't manage it. And I don't remember how it works, like whether there was one hidden somewhere or whatever it was. Like, he manages to do it or not. I don't know. I never watched the end of it. But it's available on Netflix now.
Okay.
I think it's called 9 something. I just remember 9.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I want to watch it. But again, because these shows have English subtitles and I can't do other stuff while I'm watching it, it requires me to
watch it,
sacrifice a lot of time. Like, I was willing to do it for Korean Odyssey, which is what extra reason why I was a little annoyed by the ending. But I'm also watching a show called was it Many Faces of Ito? Did you see that thing? So there's a screenwriter. She won like a lot of awards for a previous show that she wrote 4 years ago, a TV show, and like people have been waiting for her next show. And she wrote a book about relationship and stuff like that, but she's kind of stuck on writing a next show. And so her producer's like, why don't you use your book, your signing, to get some ideas? Listen to all these women. They'll tell you their love stories, like their issues, their relationship problems, and you can help them. And by doing that, you can get ideas. And so apparently there were 4 women out of the whole lot that she chose, because these 4 women, they're all dating a man named Ito, and they're all in terrible relationships. And so she's interviewing them, and I think the premise is that they're all
dating the same guy,
but the situation is slightly different. One is she's been in the friend zone for like 4 years, One girl is he's been chasing her for a while. One girl is
she's chasing him for a while.
she's like, I know he's married, so she thinks she's in an affair. And then there was one more, and I can't remember exactly, but I've only watched like 2 episodes, 3 episodes or something like that. But so the first 2 episodes about the girl who's been friend zoned, and you see like she's a doormat, and you're like, God damn it, just stand up for yourself, right? And the author's like, she's not a nice person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's doing this all for her own agenda. Like, there's moments where, like, the girls would ask her for advice. Should I still keep seeing him? And normal situations, like, no, don't spend any more time on him. He's a waste of time. Don't do this. And the author's thinking in her head,
I need more information.
I need more information. It'd be more interesting if she was still with this guy. Like, well, I think you really should give him another chance, or something along the lines. And you're like, wow.
You do anything just for a story.
You have your own agendas there. So you're watching this, and it's kind of interesting to watch it from that point of view. Okay, none of this is going into the show.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, because we're way over time. So anyway, so there are other shows that I would recommend, and I'm sure we'll talk about them when I make you watch them in the future.
Possibly, maybe. I'll need to reconsider
my recommendations on Korean shows. Hey, no, there's a difference. Here's the problem with the format of the show, right? If I've watched or read or listened or something already, the show that we're going to talk about, and I introduce you to it, I know for a fact already. I've already known what the show is like, and I'm choosing the best ones to show you. Yeah. But the problem is, and I need to rewatch it or reread it, and then I become more critical of it. Okay. If I don't watch it first and I tell you, hey, let's go and watch this thing, we're both gonna be in a bit of trouble because we might end up choosing something kind of crap. Because come on, think about it. Like, we liked Altered Carbon, but we still found problems with it. So,
but I think that's just the nature of us. We like finding things that we hate about things.
We need to be a bit more positive. No, it makes us happier people, right? No, there was a thing I saw online, like, for every negative thing that you say,
you just say something positive.
Make at least three positive observations to balance it out. Now, I know that's not possible for us here. At least for every 2 negative things we say, we should give 1 positive, just to try to, like, balance out the karma a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So I don't think we should ever, like, strictly say, oh, we should only ever talk about things that either one of us has already read or watched, right?
No.
But it does mean every now and then we might get a lemon. Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing next?
So we are aiming to, and I say aiming to, since we know my track record.
We have a very ambitious project coming out, but of course, since Peter has completed his masters, he has plenty of time to do this, right? Because it's your topic, it's your recommendation, it's your choice.
Yes, it is. Okay, so what we are going to do for our next episode is computer game, game/anime called Steins Gate.
Yep.
This is it started as a game that's
PC?
Now, no, I think it started off as like a PS game. I can't remember PS or DS, one of them. Anyway, that got made into an anime. So the anime is actually on Anime Lab, so you can watch it there.
I'll have the links up in show notes.
Yeah. It got recommended to me by a few of my friends who...
But you haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it, and I haven't played the game.
Yep.
Now, I aim to play the game and finish the game and watch the anime. I probably won't be able to. I'll probably just be able to finish the game. But I want to watch this or play this because it's apparently a really good game and everyone's been raving about how great it is. And I want Serena to watch it Obviously she's not.
I'm not going to play the game.
Yeah, she apparently can't play games that requires multiple playthroughs, which is weird.
Because I don't want to replay the same game multiple times. I got more
different things in each time playthrough. Anyway, so I just want to see what the if it will actually make a difference.
Well, because this is where the challenge is. Watching an anime is not a challenge for me. If you were playing a game that was 15 hours, 20 hours long, like if it's just one playthrough, it's not a problem. It's the fact that you want to solve, find all the endings.
Yeah.
That's where the challenge comes in. So
because I think. And this is a lot of problems when you have games that get translated into anime, because games usually have multiple endings, and whereas obviously anime has the one ending, and usually it's the correct or the true ending in the game. But in order for them to do that, you miss out a lot of information that happens in the other endings, right? And you get a lot of other information. I want to see how that kind of how that makes us view the story differently, or does it impact it to the point where,
as in, does it impact it to the point where I don't know what story you're talking about because you're playing a completely different story to what I'm watching?
Yeah. Anyway, shall we wrap up? I think that's it.
You can find our show notes with all the links to the next show, to the previous things we're talking about, on triggerpointfm.com/18. Email us at triggerpointfm@gmail.com, and you can tweet at us at triggerpointfm, or you can find us on Facebook, which we really should post a little bit more of stuff, Peter. Facebook.com/triggerpointfm.
Yeah. Okay. And until then, we shall see you all next
month.
Bye.
Bye.